Hi, let's start with an unsolicited confession. I have a poop fetish. And I feel like the last 5 years have been a bit of a social recession. Lonely and sad. I blamed video games. Thankfully, for anyone struggling with this issue, the media has already done the heavy lifting. There's a pharmacy of advice for what we on YouTube call the loneliness epidemic. Do a gaming detox, don't be shy, take the first step with other people, and do not be influenced by the likes of Andrew Tate. Now here's where most experts will disagree with me on typical advice. They say stop staring at the screen and go outside to touch grass, but I say think again. Because video games are a great sandbox tool to help us get more comfortable with life. Like a pair of extra wheels for your bicycle to help you overcome the burden of a first ride out of a lonely way of living. In the wake of the 2020 lockdown, I was cooked. My usual 7 a.m. wake-up alarm was now ringing at 5 in the afternoon. This allowed me to skip class and catch the 24-hour Counter-Strike Nexon in-game time reset to collect the daily rewards. I'd play Minecraft and Call of Duty Zombies till my brain turned to mush and I passed out from exhaustion only to repeat the very next day. Living within the same four walls, the fog in my brain from playing the same games over and over got me thinking, what was I doing with my life? Confused, I thought, well, it doesn't matter because whatever I'm feeling is not my fault. Fuck all the companies for carefully engineering a profitable attention-driven industry in video games and short-form content that I grew to consume like the disgusting slop-eating pig that I was. Angry and bitter at the system, I took it out on everyone around me by being a weird social outcast. If I cultivated the vibes of a guy who tried a bit too hard to look annoyed in every photo, then the world would finally see that something's wrong, but not with me. Are you stupid? The irony in modern day social isolation is that we are more technologically interconnected than ever. We can always talk to someone or at least an AI chatbot. Now, to me, this feels crazy sometimes, you know? You can solo queue thousands of ranked matches in your game of choice with thousands of randoms and have not made a single genuine connection. Please drop every notion you have about gaming and think. Isn't focusing on the competitive and cooperative aspect of the game ideal? I mean, if you're nice to your teammates, you can work together for their best chance at a win. More likely than not, your dogshit gameplay is the only thing that'll get a comment by your teammates. And you'll go to bed sad, feeling like you're trash and muted by Blizzard. The thing with loneliness is it doesn't matter how many people you're around, either online or in person. That's why the advice of touching grass is so obviously pointless. Instead, it's the lack of quality and/or intimacy that is a better indicator of one's loneliness. Besides connection, technology has also paved the way for easy entertainment to be integrated into our daily life. So, where are you supposed to find quality in TikToks, fast-paced video games, and passive goy slop? What the psychs and researchers are talking about is how the digital media we consume becomes our substitute for mediocre social interaction, where reliance on said social media and gaming only alienates you from the real world, thereby further making you lonelier. It's much easier to scroll, game, or as is becoming more the case, talk to AI chatbots instead of trying to be vulnerable with real people. Over the years, this didn't stop me though, because I knew that human interaction is like a great writer once said, a gift that keeps on giving, a never-endless well of discovery to grow and give. To reach this greatness though, an obvious fact is that you need to take the first step if you want to weasel around this system and attempt to connect with someone else. Which is awkward most of the time when you feel like you're on your knees begging others to be your friend, or worse yet, your romantic partner on dating apps that cost $30 fucking a week to be remotely usable. So thank you, Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Valve. Thank you, Nexon. Thank you, Blizzard. Honorable mentions to every other piece of shit for ruining my life. For contributing your share to the most transparent link between gaming, social media, and loneliness. You fucking destroy society. To all of you emos and chungus chuds, I want to take a look at gaming in relation to loneliness because it affects us, teenagers and young adults, especially after the pandemic. According to the US Surgeon General, regardless of gender, age, education, employment, marital status, or even sexual orientation, loneliness has the same adverse effects as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, with strong links to cardiovascular disease, dementia, and premature mortality. The WHO claims that loneliness costs society billions of dollars in indirect costs from education, employment, and healthcare, because people who don't have social support are less likely to give a fuck about society that doesn't care about them in return. And here's another cost. Imagine how many people will miss out on beautiful friendships. How many people will not find love. How many people become MCR stans. Why, if we want to make change and save a few $billion in cost to society, we should all be more in touch. Awareness shares the stress. The way I avoided lung cancer was the video game OMORI. The other reason it's really important to examine the issue at hand today is because I want to nerd about this game, and then argue why video games can help you out of a rut. Now, I didn't stumble upon OMORI on a whim. The 2020 pandemic eased me into a life of confinement that I happily welcomed in. My classes dragged, and like Garfield, I hated waking up early. At that time, I stopped going outside for a few weeks, turned into a hikikomori, so to say, and for the remainder of the year I would only step outside if necessary. Despite everything, I'd enrolled into college because it's abysmally cheap where I live, and it was fully online too due to COVID, so I figured it's not a big cost to make sure my parents were happy. And if I do decide to take things more seriously later, I won't hate myself for it. I arranged all my classes to be in the afternoon and made sure to cheat through every calculus test. One of my obstacles came in the form of an online gym class, when the teacher would assign us weekly homework to run a few kilometers outside, but I couldn't give a shit, so I drew my running paths on Google Maps and submitted an arbitrary time pace to her as if I actually moved an inch from my desk, but didn't, and it worked. So that was a green light to apply the same corner cutting logic through every class I could, which was smooth until the end of the academic year, when, in a chain of unfortunate circumstances, my parents had to rush to grab a last-minute flight and took off. I had one more week of final exams left, which meant that for the next 3 summer months, I had the whole apartment rented to myself at 18 years old. Well, call that my Independence Day, as I found myself cinematically standing by the grandiose main entrance door of my college 1 week later. I had just finished writing a 3-hour test in a cold gym room wearing shorts, and as I'm swinging the doors wide open, the summer breeze hits me in the face like I'm Brad Pitt in my movie. At that moment, I felt a sense of ambition. Damn, this could be my time. As I walked outside and soaked in the ambiance, I decided that to kick off this new chapter of my life with a capital letter, I would pay a visit to the grocery store where I grabbed a fat 2-liter tub of Oreo ice cream. And when I came home, I pigged out and gamed on Call of Duty World at War's simplistic zombies, replaying the same maps like it was therapy. My ambitions from freedom got pushed to the side of my gaming. In contrast, the beginning of the pandemic looked like an appetizer to the degenerate lifestyle I could foster now. I stopped what little home workout routine I had. The summer weather had me rotating the same 3 pairs of tees and shorts without AC, and naturally, I would sweat buckets from my wet thighs rubbing against the peeling leather of the chair I would sit in all day long. My legs got irritated red to the point where I started getting pimples, and I thought, fuck, now I have to wear pants in this hot temperature so that nobody sees this embarrassment. Worst of all, I can't even play games comfortably anymore because I have to sit on my ass. My sleep was something. I would go to bed when I'd hear the cheery yelling of elementary school kids going to their class in the morning through my open windows. The summer sunshine was beautiful and healing, but it was a nuisance I had to endure when it kept getting in my way in the middle of the day. I'd try to fall asleep, but the curtains were too thin letting the light in, so I'd wake up whenever I want, piss whenever I want, sometimes making an exception to set an alarm for 9 p.m. in case I oversleep and miss the chance to buy groceries before close time. With my diet, mixing pasta ketchup, bread, and tubs of ice cream 3 times a day, my flaws got in the way. So, I stopped interacting with everyone for the time being. Reaching out felt like a chore when I could barely take care of myself at the time. My old friends got all hooked on League of Legends. Dear Lord, I thought you guys are somehow doing even worse than me. My sister would visit from time to time, but I'd been so stuck that every time I thought, please book an appointment with my secretary, and then we'd sit together by the table with some nice tea talking about this and that, but in the back of my head I thought I would much rather be on Overwatch. In the span of a few weeks, I started feeling what loneliness is. Addicted to video games, if you couldn't tell, as long as I could. I had fun putting my life and ambitions to the side. I even considered that this was the point of my life. To milk the pleasure and extract as much value as possible out of the computer. I was a wimp beast. And at the time, my biggest hurdle was boredom. What if the video games I played all day long did not entertain His Majesty anymore? What if the slop was not enough for the cattle? Quite the dilemma. And for a second I got scared. Could my autocratic gaming system crumble and fall? As I found myself spending more time on YouTube video essays and blankly curious about what game to play next in my Steam library, 2 evident signs of impending doom. In reality, I was really scared of one-on-one time with myself because when gaming, the noise in my head would be suppressed. and when not, I felt bored, alone, and sad. And I knew that the only perpetrator of this whole problem was I. Reminding myself of what I could do had I just locked in or something. That I could live life outside, get to know the world. Yet I choose to farm dopamine on the sounds of popping helmets and the incrementing rounds of Call of Duty Zombies. Now, I was not depressed or anything like that. Thank you for asking. At least I don't think so. Because I still had a spark, you know? My penultimate idea to combat boredom was to find a new good video game to play. So I tried some first-person shooters. Then I dabbled with some story games here and there. One thing leads to another, and I find myself lying in bed one night when I discovered Doki Doki Literature Club, as it's called. And going in, I half thought it was a joke, but this was a really cool game with a nice twist to it. And without even knowing it, one of the most important dominoes in my life when Steam's algorithm recommended me based on my previous interactions. OMORI. I was curious. Watching the trailer, I saw this black and white guy who lives in a very colorful world, as if he's an outlier. Whoa, he's literally me. That day, I cracked it, and my playthrough began with very high expectations. Doki Doki Literature Club precedently served as a benchmark for impact. But OMORI, developed on the RPG Maker MV engine from 2015 based on an old tool made for screens supporting 4x3 resolutions, starts humbly. Guys, I completely forgot to mention this, but spoiler alert, holy shit. I'm gonna be talking about everything from start to finish, so if you don't wanna hear any of this, just click off the video, like and subscribe, and goodbye. As you load into the title screen, you hear a mellow piano melody playing. You have been living here for as long as you can remember. You play as OMORI, and wherever you may try to go by pressing the arrow keys on your keyboard, you will inevitably circle back to the light bulb in the center. There's no indicator of what to do, so you have to try things out. For example, the laptop. When you boot it up, it shows the background of a brick wall, where senselessly one of the options you have as a player is to stare at the screen's background. And I remember I thought, isn't that just what I do when I stare at my Steam library with no clue? Another thing you can do on the laptop is browse OMORI's journal. The computer's clock stuck at midnight, and the journal's entries have completely lost track of time. Every day is the same as the previous. It reads, "Today, I spent time in whitespace. Everything was okay." When you log off, the game mentions the heat from the laptop warmed your lap. Even amidst this numb life, OMORI still finds pleasure in the small things. And his cat, Mio, it's cute. In the top right corner, we have a sketchbook. It's OMORI's hand drawings. Blood, gore, eyeballs, creatures, scribbles, liquids. There are 13 pages of drawings, peculiarly missing some content at the end, depicting a very disturbed mind. Otherwise, that's it. A knife drops from the sky after you explored enough, and you can now open the door. On the other side of the door is a colored room. OMORI's friends. They will be tagging along on this journey. Here's a quick introduction. Kel, the carefree guy, Aubrey, the stubborn girl, and Hiro, the charming big bro. Once you enter the neighbor's room, as it's called, you get a very contrasting scene to white space. Plenty of saturated colors, a dreamy space background with arts and the stars, and overall a place for play. Aubrey mentioned she wants to go visit Marie and Basil for a picnic at the playground. Tag your friends along, and so begins the first journey into OMORI's dream world as you emerge from a tree stump. Interestingly, there's a bit of a pattern here. To the left is a foggy forest blocked off by a spider net. Try to cross it and you find out that OMORI is afraid of spiders. To the right is a windy forest as indicated by the pinwheels with a tall purple ladder, but OMORI is afraid of heights. And up from the tree stump is a lake, but once again, OMORI is afraid of drowning. Down below is the playground, where Marie, OMORI's loving older sister, is hosting a picnic. She prepared plenty of snacks for her friends, and the basket serves as a save spot for your game if you lose. She's with Basil, a chill stoner guy who loves taking pictures of his friends. He invites everybody to gather around and have a look at his new photo album, with each picture revealing a story about the friend group. As I was playing, I found myself introduced to these characters in an authentic way. And we see on the pictures Kel goofing off, Hiro struggling to assemble a flower crown, Aubrey messing with Kel, and more. After this, the friends start to get picked on by a big dude. So here's a quick explanation of the fighting system. I promise it's relevant. There's 2 bars to look after during combat for each character. Hearts are your health points. Lose them all and you literally turn toast. Notably, the game clearly shows you that it's not game over when all of your party members turn to toast, but rather when OMORI dies. For that, and for his main character syndrome, he's given a second chance in every fight. If his health were to reach 1 hit point, he'll take the blow, and the game informs you that OMORI did not succumb. In line with each respective character's vibes, they're each specialized in applying a certain emotion in combat. Omori, being the emo boy that he is, can cast sadness. Aubrey, like a cheery girl, can cast happiness, and Kel, the jackass, can cast anger. These three emotions work in a rock-paper-scissors system where one overpowers the other while being weaker to its alternative. Remember that you can inflict emotions both on your party and enemies alike, so puzzle it together and try to find a system that works. Visually, Hero makes a simple chart to help us understand this concept. Happy beats angry, angry beats sad, and sad beats happy. At this point, I was feeling pretty distracted. The tutorial was taking a while, but the friend group finally reaches Basil's house. Suddenly, Kel and Aubrey pick a fight and end up clumsily pushing Basil over as he drops his photo album, scattering pictures all over the ground. Whoops. To say sorry, they gather everything and move inside the shoe house to rearrange them back into the album. Cozied up by the campfire, one by one, carefully inserting the fun memories back in order, all goes well, until one picture stands out like a sore thumb, so out of place, and yet so familiar. Basil, visibly distressed as he looks around nervously for something, as he turns to his friends and tries to say something about Marie, but she's dead. It seems like Omori is back in whitespace, alone. Once again, a void situation. No indicator or anyone telling you what to do. You can interact with the same things as last time, but the only thing that's changed is the obnoxious music and the doors gone, replaced instead by the sounds of a steady heartbeat. A new page has also been scribbled on in the sketchbook, depicting something weird. The cat, Mio, gives you a hint. If you're looking for a way out, there always is one, so look around and find it in yourself. You wake up in a dimly lit room. You are now Sunny, as he is canonically called, a pale boy oddly resembling Omori. Turns out you just had a nightmare. Your stomach growls and you're hungry. Sleeping it off won't help. It seems like the last thing that Sunny wants to do is descend these comically large stairs in the dark, but the food is downstairs, so fuck it. From the top, they seem so tall that a fall would surely be lethal. Until halfway through, not a step forward nor backward, his fear of heights materializes in a monstrosity. You enter combat. There's no escape. Alone, the attacks deal a pity of damage, and we see the one emotion not shown in the tutorial: fear. I was bummed out when I realized that to win this scripted fight, you just need to calm down to go back to neutral. The fight ends, and you can go down to heat up a steak in the microwave, chow it down, and head back to bed. Back in the same dream again, you control Omori once more in whitespace. So, this is the part where I realized that Omori is the dream version of Sunny, the idealized protagonist of his dreams. Sunny is just a regular guy who is clearly paranoid of some things. These two characters are different, but interconnected, which explains why Omori is so afraid of climbing that ladder east of the stump earlier. What happened at Basil's house though? What was all that about with the mysterious picture? Kel, Aubrey, and Hero are still here. Marie's okay, but you go to Basil's house and he's missing. Aubrey crying that something might have happened to the flower boy, concerned if he's lost or hurt. So now it's time to go search. In the forest, in the trees, by the bunnies, in the playground, by the rocks, by the trains, by the seashore, and by the store, our beloved herb friend is nowhere to be found. And when you come back to the picnic, Marie mentions, "Why don't you guys try searching up in the sky? I know you're afraid of heights, Omori, but all your friends are by your side. And you wouldn't want to lose Basil now, would ya?" So up in the sky you go to fight a bunch of astronauts in Pluto? What the hell, I didn't know they disrespected you like that, bro. And apparently there's this guy called Captain Spaceboy that can help us, but the bastard's half asleep. Why? Because of some love trauma he had with some kind of donut sweetheart. Now the only thing that can help him alleviate the heartbreak is his old mixtape he threw out in a fit of rage? Well, sounds stupid, but dig through the junkyard and fend off the slow dialing errors. While Aubrey smashes obstacles, Hero charms the enemies and escalators, and Kel throws shit where it needs to go. And once you finally find it, the captain wakes up and starts throwing a fit. Angry, furious even. You're up against the game's first legitimate boss, where the more damage he takes, the angrier he becomes. If you remember the emotions I talked about, you have to plan around that. When you take him down to Earth, ask if he knows anything about the whereabouts of a so-called Basil, he doesn't know anything. Well shit, that was a huge waste of time. But at least Aubrey got this ice cream, and Kel learned this sick move that increases his damage to 250%? Whoa, that'll help me. And also, the chaotic fight left a hole in the captain's pillow where you can find a black keyboard letter. It's for the Hangman game, surely useful later. Lost? Down below there's a curious trail leading to an open field. following a shadowy figure, oddly resembling Basil. Suddenly your friends are all gone, and it's dim. Distant memories from a happy past start fading in and out. Watermelons by the beachside, a rainy day's umbrellas, freshly baked Marie's cookies. As you follow the shadow into a barn, inside stands a tall photograph. Taking a closer look, you notice scribbles of musical notes and another letter for the hangman. This must be important, but this thing starts chasing you. The same one that appeared in your sketchbook drawings, and you wake up. It is now daytime. You're back to being Sunny. That sunny morning, he's woken up by the pounding of the fists at the door. It's Kel. He looks significantly older than what we saw so far in the dream space. He wants to hang out one last time for old time's sake. Outside, you see their house stands at the edge of a suburban place called Faraway Town, and with a big red sign for sale, Sunny is moving out in 3 days. And apparently, he's been a shut-in for who knows how long. Sunny is a hikikomori who refuses to participate in society, confining to the comfort of their own home. Kel, kind of surprised Sunny stepped outside, suggests they go buy a gift for Hiro, who will be returning from college tomorrow. Strolling about Faraway Town, you start to notice some details. In the store, you can find a cutout of Captain Spaceboy, and you can see many other NPCs that resemble the characters in the dreams. And all of a sudden, you stumble across Basil in the park talking to somebody. The friend you've been looking for the last hour is not lost. He seems a little distressed though. And then comes Aubrey, her cheery Dreamworld counterpart, having found a new style, painting her hair pink and rocking a baseball bat spiked with nails to show off a tough gal attitude. Her new group of friends seem to be picking on Basil. Pretty awkward. But Kel stands up to the situation, and the confrontation turns to a fight. You enter the interface for combat, and I felt a little weirded out. For the last hour, I've been battling random bunnies and goobers in the dream world, but now it's an unrecognizable Aubrey. Noticeably, the health and juice bar of Sunny is depressingly low compared to that of Kel. But as you select your combat choices, Sunny stabs Aubrey with his steak knife from last night's paranoiac snack. Without even realizing, he almost just killed his childhood friend because that's the weapon he's been using all this time in his dreams. Whoops. What a clever wake-up about the differences of the two worlds to any player that didn't quite catch it yet. Kel promptly confiscates the knife from Sunny, and they walk Basil home. On the way, Basil confesses something. Aubrey stole his photo album and doesn't want to give it back. It means a lot to him. So, like good friends, Kel and Sunny agree to help. Fighting and bribing their way through Faraway Town, they find her in the most unexpected place, the church. What is a delinquent like her doing here anyway? Kel whispers from behind to Aubrey to give back Basil's photo album, to which she responds by telling him to piss off. It's none of his business, they aren't friends anymore, and that it's time to move on. Kel mentions that if Sunny's sister Marie were to hear that, she wouldn't be happy, to which Aubrey responds, who cares what Marie thinks? Marie's dead. This moment shifts the perspective completely. Up till now, as I played, I've been discovering parts of this dream world and then once again rediscovering it through the real world, Sunny's counterpart. But unexpectedly somehow, despite the fact that the house is empty, it never crossed my mind that Marie is nowhere to be found in the real world. She's dead. Meanwhile, the situation escalates in the church. Again, another fight, and the back and forth gathers the attention from the attendees as the gossip starts regarding Aubrey's delinquent outfit, her inappropriate carrying of a bat, and her troubled parents at home. What an embarrassment. And clearly, all she was wishing for was a moment of peace. This time, without a knife, Aubrey promptly kicks the teeth in of the both. About to burst in tears, she runs away. To be honest, I was totally startled by this scene. I'd suspected something was wrong, but the reveal of such an important part of the story was so jarring that I made sure to not skip random dialogue anymore. On the way back, Kel spots Aubrey throwing away the photo album in her trash can, which they unapologetically collect and bring back to Basil. At the end of the day, they stay for dinner, reminiscing through the pictures together, but notice that a few are missing. Perhaps Aubrey kept them. Passingly, yet in another shocking reveal during a regular dialogue, Kel mentions at the dinner table that Sunny is moving away. Basil, visibly distressed, gets up from the table and takes a moment away. Here, if you follow him, you'll find him breaking down in the bathroom as a creepy creature seems to envelop the atmosphere. Something weird, as he begs for Sunny to stay, repeating to himself that everything will be okay. But it's getting late now, so Sunny grabs Kel and says goodbye till tomorrow. Going home, goes through a phobia of spiders in a similar way to last night's fear of heights, and lays in bed for the night. So this is a lot to unpack. Sunny stepped outside for the first time in years and reconnected with his old friends. Much of what we saw at night was characterized faraway town where he lives. Sunny is still largely stuck in a daze of childishness and is out of touch with reality when he stabbed his best friend Aubrey out of habit. Basil is not missing, at least not IRL. He's fine, but he's acting a little weird, and for some reason the fact that Sunny is moving away is very troubling to him. All this time, Marie was dead, and clearly this is affecting everybody in the friend group. Personally, I thought it would be very lame had the game only been set up in the dream world. This day piqued my curiosity to keep playing to find out what's up with the main characters. Myself, I later did have a similar day like this where I decided to stop being a mop and reached out to my friends to go outside for once. I worked up the courage, realizing just how much a year of COVID can turn you unadapted to the social world. But I'll get to that after the lore. Night 2. Now back to OMORI's dream. All of his friends are back and happy to see him. When I reach this point, I have to admit the young versions of his friends are uncanny. The psychological horror really kicked in for a bit, because when you saw Sunny's grown real-life friends and learned about Marie, the tidy, happy, perfect versions of Calabrian Hero and Marie feel artificial. But nonetheless, it seems like they still need to find Basil, so on they go for another adventure. Surprisingly, the problem isn't just OMORI. Hero is deathly afraid of spiders as well, so whenever the party enters a fight with a spider-like creature, Hero becomes scared. Basically, to cut the story short, beat a bunch of spiders and bugs, solve some puzzles, and reach Sweetheart's castle. The friend group gets a chance to attend Sweetheart's presentation, a show where the princess of all the Sprout Knolls will be searching for a compatible suitor to have her heart in love. Unfortunately, this is Hinge, so all the Sprout Moles are embarrassingly unsuitable for the elegant, donut-shaped Sweetheart, which is when the spotlight falls on Hero, a charming and handsome guy, who also knows how to cook. But unfortunately, the friend group collectively refuses the proposal, which gets them thrown into dungeon, at which point you spend the whole hour if not more trying to get out while doing stupid quests, like killing the castle's knights, helping the Sprout Mole orchestra practice, and baking a cake, till finally you reach the stage once again. Frankly, in terms of gameplay, this section can be dull and very annoying. I guess that gave me more of a reason to want to beat her up as soon as I could. Sweetheart hits like a truck with her mace, and her boss fight revolves around her being too happy, ecstatic even. Ideally, you want your party to be sad in order to get the upper hand. To fight victorious, out of nowhere, a cosmic ship crashes from behind and lands on stage. It's Captain Spaceboy, the same guy from last night, and he proposes his love to Sweetheart, which she accepts with no hesitation. Well, that's that. As they fly away in harmony, and suddenly, you get another moment with your friends. No quests, nothing to do. Lost. You can walk around and explore, but behind you, the stage shattered and the planks flew off, revealing a dark pit. Jump in as your party members disappear behind you after a long fall. You land alone, walking around in a dusty library. Some of the books are shiny, where pages read of memories, good times with friends, all the while a sad melancholic piano melody plays in the background. As I read through every single one of them, I started feeling lonely again. What a weird feeling, so similar to the experience I was trying my best to avoid in real life. The one-on-one time with myself when the in-game music stops. The last two memories at the bottom of the library are seen through a crack in the wall. You get a glimpse of a piano and Basil, at which point you're sent back to white space. It's daytime again. Kel is already knocking on Sunny's door, with 2 days left before moving day, so they go out. Before they do anything special, they hear Basil screaming for help in the park. It's Aubrey and her friends bullying him again. Once more, the situation turns ugly, and the shebang turns into a fight. Outnumbered, Kel and Sunny take a beating. Meanwhile, Basil, standing on the edge of the platform of the lake, Aubrey starts to talk, splurge in emotions. When asked why she's bullying Basil, she can't articulate a proper answer and, on a whim, accidentally pushes the guy in the water. Basil, who doesn't even know how to swim, drowning, while Kel picks a fight with Aubrey for what she's done. In the moment, it's up to Sunny to save Basil, but Sunny is deathly as scared of drowning. Overcoming his fear for his friend, he jumps in and submerges in the dark water. Eyes closed, we see a glimpse of Marie, and his fear of drowning swallowed him whole in another futile and scripted battle. Trying to keep his composure, Sunny slowly sinks to the bottom. But Hero comes in just at the right moment and saves everyone from the lake. He's finally back, dragging Sunny and Basil out of the water. He's acting just like how he was portrayed in his dreams. The only thing we learn is that Hero is not a fan of cooking after you give him a recipe cookbook as a gift, especially not so much without Marie. Aubrey fled the scene, and the two brothers went to hang out with Sunny after bringing Basil home. We get to learn more about Cal and Hiro, and their mom and dad who had another kid. We see the difference between the two brothers, where one's an overachiever with a neat display of trophies, while the other is just Cal, simply being himself with the messy side of the room. Now late at night, they decide to crash at Sunny's spot. Since he's gonna move out soon, it's a good opportunity to spend some time together. They soon fall asleep and finish the day, as Sunny lies down and closes his eyes for another night's adventure. Unlike all the other times, you wake up in your dream alone. Your friends are nowhere to be seen. Creepy, and perhaps foreshadowing what's about to come, after wandering about the playground, you find Marie, and she tells you that everyone just grew up and got jobs. Okay. That makes sense. So go up and into the lake, and she will bring you to where all your friends are. On your way there, you spend one-on-one time with her, and she leaves you a lot of hints about your paranoias and reminding you that there's something else you're afraid of. And as she fades away, saying, "I miss you, Sunny," instead of addressing you as OMORI. When she leaves, you descend a big well into the underwater world, picking up another black key for the hangman game. Every time you pick one up now, it leaves a hole in the ground bigger than the last, revealing a memory or a distant thought, like something's breaking out of the floor. Oh look, there's Cal. His new job is to point people to the last resort, and his new boss, a fucking alligator. The job clearly sucks, so he takes a smoke break and joins OMORI to find everyone else. There's Marie. Happy to see OMORI, but for some reason it's like she doesn't even mention that she was with him just moments ago. As you enter the last resort, you get to fight off a bunch of different crocodile guards and gamble. Soon, you find Aubrey, who's now employed to be a receptionist for the big guy. Clearly busy juggling 10 calls at once, it takes Kel to Karen and snap her back on track. And then there's Hiro. His new job is to be Mr. Jossum's, the big boss's pet. He's really good at it because he's just that universally loved. But breaking out will not be easy. Everyone signed contracts. So the only way to settle this is with a fight. Beat the boss up. And after you do, also beat up Pluto again. Bastard got a job to be his personal bodyguard. Anyway, what are we here for again? Oh, that's right. We need to find Basil. Perfect. We got everyone together. It's time to go search. But one problem is that everyone's mind blanked out. They take a piece of paper and try to draw from memory what Basil looks like. And it comes out like a poor kid's drawing. On the way out of the last resort, they spot Sweetheart. She broke up with the captain. Again. And now she's heading to a secret laboratory that will manufacture her a perfect suitor. So, with no better reason than fuck it and no sense of direction, the friend group chases after her, from the highway to the lab into the whale's mouth. You get to face a very grimy battle against the whale itself, swallowing you repeatedly. Your party needs to live long enough to sustain its constant attacks and end by hitting its gag reflex for him to puke you out. Blech. Now, safe outside the giant's belly, he also squirted out the remaining letters for the hangman puzzle, and it reads, "Welcome to Black Space." When you go back to Basil's now deserted house, there's a hole like last night's dream leaving you imaginary friends behind. Here lies a twisted and fucked up version of the mind, the antithesis to white space. Cleverly, its metaphorical axis is locked behind Marie's grave, which haunts you as you touch it, turning into a door. For OMORI to access black space, the polar opposite of the comfortable white space which shielded you in the night adventures, is to accept Marie's death. Describing black space is hard, because it doesn't make sense. But you have to understand that things simply are. Not everything has meaning, and many things are up to interpretation. Much of the experience relies on visual cues, audio, and time. In terms of the aesthetic, think Yume Nikki. Dark contrasts, saturated colors, weird fragmented pieces of memories, uncanny objects, distorted reality and glitching visuals, constraining spaces and open fields, TB, static letters and numbers, lost trails, and despair. It's a nightmare visualized. The layout of black space shares similarity to white space, where you have the central hub with a dim light bulb, which serves as your safe spot, and multiple doors. Again, there aren't any explicit directions, just vague remarks here and there, sometimes even misleading you. In one of the rooms, you're stuck with the butler and your cat Mio on an operating table. There's nothing to interact with except you're given the choice to slice open your cat. Repeatedly, you're asked if you're certain, and after a few tries, you can cut him open with your knife. But the key to the door was not inside him, it was inside you all along. In the hub and the many rooms are a multitude of NPCs who will give you cryptic advice. spew random bullshit, or hint at various lore. As an example, one of them will ask you, did you create the world above to protect or to hide away black space? Either way, that world has become too strong. Another will tell you that they're part of the truth and has been sealed here. You'll find the same mysterious creature that's been nicknamed something that has been haunting Omori for the whole game. In one of the rooms, it's sitting idle. It tells Omori, Sunny, I love you. And then a forest, Basil's flower crown. And there's Basil, finally! As you walk through the maze of watermelons, you slice them open, and slice Basil too. Another room, lead him into a trap of spiders. Next door, lead him down an elevator and cut his head off by squishing the doors on him. Room after, hop on a raft in a tunnel of love, and come out with his head missing. Again, you see him, completely innocent and out of touch with black space. He pleads to get out. He misses his flowers, his pictures, and his friends, oblivious to what Omori is doing to him, yet still consciously fooled, saying he's a burden for needing to be rescued multiple times. Oh look, there's Omori's friends, and Aubrey just caved his skull in. The pattern of repeatedly killing and torturing increasingly clears the message. Basil was not lost. He was not welcome. But finally, when given one last chance, tugging and struggling against the dark entity, Omori pulls out his knife and personally stabs Basil to death with his own hands, and ascends to claim the throne of black space, pictured by red hands which he controls, signaling that Omori is now the ruler of his dreams, having successfully repressed Basil for attempting to reveal the truth. You wake up in the middle of the night, arms open on the floor. A familiar melody is heard coming from the grand piano downstairs. Sunny goes down, and there's Marie. She tells him waltzes were always her favorite, that she was a perfectionist practicing the same song over and over for the recital they were supposed to have together. Her on the piano and him on the violin. But you hated it, she says. And perhaps I pushed you a little too hard. We never got to play at that last recital. I'm sorry. Would you like to play it with me now? Suddenly, Hiro comes in and starts rambling about how he misses Marie too, and goes to cry at the piano. If you take some time to explore after the blue balls, you can open the door to the backyard, where something from the dreams is hanging atop a tree stump that Sunny does not dare to approach. Come daytime, Hiro and Kel have already prepared breakfast. News is, Aubrey has apparently locked herself in her room and isn't coming out. Like the good friends they are, they decided to break into the house, where for the first time we get a glimpse into Aubrey's life. The paint on the walls peeling off, trash littered all over the place, and no light except for a TV that her mom is watching. Stroll into Aubrey's room and start talking to her. Hiro says sorry for intruding, but what happened yesterday? What was that all about when she pushed Basil into the lake? To which she replies it was but an accident. She only wanted to push him away. Meanwhile, Hiro notices the missing pictures from Basil's photo album taped by Aubrey's desk. It's Marie's pictures. So, the gang gets together and starts putting the pictures in the photo album where they all belong. To be honest with you, this scene got a little emotional. The album was foreshadowing a very important plot point ever since the beginning of the game. You know, because the friend group was so dysfunctional due to the passing of Marie. But now back together looking at old memories, Aubrey about to burst into tears at all the wrong she's done, and Kel saying she should have treated her greater. The best part is, every little picture has a comment with a story to it. You see Sunny first time on the violin, preparing for the recital with Marie. You see Hiro rizzing Marie, Hiro arm wrestling Kel, Marie's picnics, and her carrying sleepy Sunny around, Kel and Sunny making a flower crown, rainy days and umbrellas, ice creams, bugs, and beach days. The treehouse they all spent so much time in at Sunny's place. Basil's birthday. The friend group got him a photo album and a camera. Also, it seems like one picture is missing. For now, they decide to ride the nostalgia high and go to Sunny's house to have one last look at his old treehouse. We get some more touching dialogues here. Everyone standing around the tree stump sharing how they'd hear of the news of Marie's passing. And further up in the treehouse we only saw so far in black space is an ingrown and abandoned scene. Oh, and there's the final picture that was lost from the photo album. Once again, you're given the opportunity to have a look through the full album, and the characters exchange some heartwarming back and forths. Aubrey stands up and says she's sorry for everything she's done. Everyone drifted apart and she felt so alone, but she might have been the one who pushed everyone away. Sunny stopped going outside. Basil stopped talking to everyone at school. But that's when she noticed his photo album. There were marker scribbles on the pictures. He tried to ruin the memories. So she decided to steal it and began calling him things to try to distance herself from everyone. Sorry, she says, for being so alienating. The friend group all breaks down in a sad moment when Hiro calls for a heartwarming hug, and soon after, Aubrey says she needs to go apologize to Basil as well for what she's done. Before going, if you step into the grand piano room from last night, interacting with the piano reads that the words Omori are etched into the piano. All this time, Sunny's alter ego in his dreams was named after the piano that Marie was playing. At Basil's, it looks like he locked himself in his room. One by one, everyone tries to have a word with him through the door, but no response. So, they decide to crash at his place for the night to make sure he's alright. And soon, everyone falls asleep by the TV. Welcome to White Space. The light bulb in the middle is shining, strong, but now, you appear as Sunny. You don't control Omori. Not anymore after last night's black space debacle. So, smash the light bulb. And in the dark, start fighting your fears all over again. Something, the fear of heights, the fear of spiders, the fear of drowning. Overcome your fears one by one and be transported into what is called the truth sequence. Heavenly gates open for you and there stands a vision of Basil. This is the end of the road. And he always hoped you would find him. But he prays that Sunny be strong when he sees the truth. For it's hard to accept that he asks for forgiveness. Handing over his photo album, you have to puzzle together a series of black and white pictures. The following sequence plays out like a creepy memory. Visions of Sunny's parents mourning, distorted family pictures, a hospital with dying patients, a tall staircase, the shadow of Basil repeating that everything will be okay. You pick up more and more pictures in no particular order, but as you do, you become more and more bloody, till you leave marks on the floor and you start to get your fingers chopped off with every picture. The memories blur together from the pain to the point of unrecognizable gibberish, when you can't even look at yourself in the mirror anymore, until you reach a tree with a noose. This is the end of the road. Put the pictures together and you envision a scene. A broken violin at the bottom of the staircase, a disagreement turned physical, an accident, and Marie at the bottom of the stairs. Her hair mopping the floor, Sunny dragging her back up to bed, frantic panic and crying, reassuring hands of Basil, a tree, an idea, a makeshift noose, and a staged suicide. Turn back and something will haunt you. Okay, so Sunny killed Marie by accident when they disagreed on their recital, and Basil helped them stage it as a suicide. And all this time everyone must have thought she took her own life. That's why Sunny and Basil are so weird. You wake up in the middle of the night while everyone else is asleep. Basil is in danger. When you walk into his room, he's visibly distressed. "Don't leave me," he says. One thing and suddenly they pick a fight. Sunny, afraid and trying to calm down, suddenly gets stabbed in the eye by Basil's shears, and as he's passing out, gets his whole life flashed before his eyes. Just one last time, far away town, his cozy and lively house. Marie practicing the piano, his cat Mio, his violin, and all the photo album memories suddenly surfacing as if he's there. And one more time, a one-on-one with his friends behind the stage, reassuring him that everything will be alright. And as he grabs his violin, Spotlight on stage begins playing and breaks down in tears. As if Sunny's final moments could not have gone past without a plot twist, he encounters Omori, as he tries to metaphorically use the violin to combat the knife of Omori, one turn at a time, fighting his alter ego for control and remembrance. The grueling combat becomes more and more bleak despite the reassuring voices of his friends, as Omori does not succumb, berating Sunny for the struggle he's caused for himself and his friends alike, that he's worthless, dependent, and selfish, a liar and a sick person for what he's done. Hiro loved her, and you killed her. Basil loved her, and you killed her. Everyone loved her and you killed her, so you should just die. But as Sunny is about to give up, he picks up the violin one last time and begins playing the duet he couldn't play with Marie. For how can he forget when Omori was etched into the wood of the piano Marie died playing? Spoiler alert, holy shit. You wake up in the hospital. Sunny didn't die. In the other room is Basil in the hospital bed, and his friends. And for the first time in the whole story, Sunny speaks his first words. I have to tell you something. So, that was it. The game ends on an open note, leaving many questions about the friend group. Whether you believe Kel, Aubrey, and Hero accepted Sunny's accident, no matter what, the weight off his shoulders was lifted after the confession, and off of Basil as well, who was complicit in the situation. Overall, OMORI as a game is about acceptance, and when you accept the past, you can move forward with more ease. How to get to acceptance is another point. We saw OMORI confronting his phobias and almost dying several times, finally stepping outside and opening his horizons even to his old friends. The night I completed the game in the marathon ended at 3 a.m. and I just bawled. The credits roll and you get a thank you for playing. All of a sudden, a melancholic feeling so strong, releasing the pressure and salt tears on that hot summer night. I curled on the floor, rolled over, ignoring the humiliating situation this game just put me in. Like a toddler, that night I tucked myself in bed without even doing my usual gaming binge till sunrise. Naturally, connecting with the story of OMORI is intuitive. You don't learn everything at once. The character's tragedy is masterfully delivered in a psychological horror fashion that keeps you curious all throughout. The creative choice of the developers to make Sunny and OMORI as blank and as dead of a character as possible helps in projecting yourself onto him, in turn allowing you to immerse yourself in the story. OMORI nor Sunny have no dialogue whatsoever. You imply what happens based on the environment around. When I woke up the next morning, I called my mom, dad, and sister just to tell them I love them. I cleaned the house. I took care of myself. I cooked a nice meal. My sitting around and constant gaming crippled me to a pitiful anorexia of 50 kilograms. Paired with a shit ton of acne I developed, I look like a lanky Reddit mod. Lonely and now heartbroken from OMORI. I took a seat and reflected. I faced myself, you know. I tried to enter my own personal black space, because all this time, I was trying to hide the fact that I hated my lifestyle, that it was holding me back from my goals and personal desire to be more social, yet unable to even face myself. And so I thought, video games are my arch nemesis. I should probably stop. I mentioned earlier that I'd gotten a job, so I decided to come in a little more often to spend time away from the screen. What if touching grass was the solution all along? But I hated it. My dad referred me to work part-time with 2 Russian alcoholics who smoked a pack daily while simultaneously walking a marathon. The job was simple, walking around the neighborhood and distributing the weekly ads in grocery store pamphlets, where the 5 a.m. alarm to get there on time turned out to be one of the biggest challenges due to the sporadic sleep schedule I had developed in the weeks prior. Moreover, the weight of the bag full of ads was like a dumbbell, and as the day progressed, I'd find myself dragging slower and slower up the hills, stairs, and my chicken legs would scream in pain. I'd grow to hate stairs as much as the OMORI community for what they'd done to Marie. The better option was haphazardly throwing the bags over the fence, on the porch by the door, and one time on the new flowers some granny just planted. Besides the same 2 people unusually waiting for me at 6 in the morning for their weekly flyers, the disrespect went both ways. Now, I totally understand why you'd get displeased about some schmuck spamming your inbox, but some people would take it way too far. One day, this motherfucker got pissed that I left the ads in his mail, so he rushed out of his home in slippers and screamed some Québécois tabarnak at me and threw the bag as far as he could on the street. Like a ripped trash bag, all the ads scattered about the place. I was furious, but I decided to keep my head down to not lose my job, and I apologized to him, shamefully, walking back to pick up the mess. Deep down, I knew this was not it. At the end of the day though, there was nothing like kicking my legs up in the truck after a long blue-collar haul, enjoying the smoky air from my coworkers' cigarettes. And I learned that alcoholics know how to live, so they paid me well. At least with the money, I knew I could afford to go out. So this helped me break the comfortable isolation. Kind of like Kel did so in OMORI, I reached out to the safest option, my good old friend Brayden. Growing up, I knew he was a very receptive and open guy just by his mannerisms and communication style. No wonder he does social work and is on track studying to become a psychologist now. So, he was the first person outside of my family I called up to say what's up and hesitantly asked if he wanted to hang out. This jackass always acts busy, but we ended up buying a seasonal pass to the local amusement park, which was a lot of fun. The park's heavy stench of grease is still strong in my head. In trying to avoid video games as much as possible, I projected wherever I could. I forced Brayden to play OMORI, nerded out about every little piece of trivia I knew. I even started working on videos again. Yet, I missed a crucial point. In trying to hate video games, I failed to realize that they were essentially just my headspace. Bright and colorful and idealized, with the main purpose being to forget. And you know, the main source of addiction in gaming comes from the satisfying reward with low risk. Video games feel real to us not because they have Ultra HD graphics, but because they're immersive. A video game like OMORI tangles you with its story, but a shooter will grab you with its fast-paced action. Beyond, neuroplasticity research shows that most of the damage when you play high-intensity games like shooters affects the brain's amygdala, also known as the fight-or-flight center. The result is that our emotional regulation becomes significantly worse. We become more easily aggravated, we lose gray matter which increases ADHD symptoms, and daily life starts to feel more monotonous because we're down-regulating our dopamine hits. In other words, we become numb versions of ourselves. But you know what? This kind of numbness significantly helps with the struggles of loneliness. Remember how I mentioned that loneliness and technology become a self-fulfilling cycle? That if you feel like complete shit, there's nothing wrong with escaping by playing a shooter game here and there, when inevitably, these hits of dope substitute your need to connect with others. OMORI was created by Sonny to not be himself, primarily to hide the truth regarding Marie's passing to deal with the grief. Naturally, the more the story progresses and the more the outside world builds Sonny back to be himself, the more resistance he faces. But in the end, when Sonny is bleeding out from Basil's shears and fights OMORI for white space, the only thing that saves him is metaphorically the duet, which couldn't have happened. An unfortunate reality that has been kept up for 4 years, fracturing himself and his friend group. Now imagine, for the sake of my argument, and I'm sorry if I get into fanfic territory, but what would OMORI's story be had there been no headspace? I really like how OMORI has a few alternative endings. If you refused to answer the door to Kel on the first day, you'd spend the rest of the game's daytime doing meaningless tasks around the house. In turn, you get a lot of extra content to play through on the last night. Of course, this is a bad ending. OMORI takes control of Black Space, and the fight by Sonny is lost. In terms of trivia, another interesting thing is how throughout the game you can look into mirrors. You'll find something following you, seeing the wrong character like OMORI in place of Sonny. There's a lot of symbolic significance with this, because they all point to the fact that you can't even look at yourself. When the headspace of OMORI gets too strong, it takes over him, resulting in a bad ending. But in the regular route, headspace is a necessary part of his slow process of self-discovery. The recollection of the friend group would not have happened had everything not fallen into place, putting Kel, Aubrey, and Hero's actions aside. I mean, OMORI was like a necessary evil to cope with the struggles of grief. Back to the alternative endings, the game also hints that his dreams are in a loop, that he's done similar dreams before. The laptop in Whitespace has lost track of time as if he's reliving the best moment to try and forget. This explains everything that Sonny has been doing over the last years of being a shut-in. So, what if my video games are all OMORIs? Am I crazy? This is crazy. You have to accept who you are, but I don't mean that loneliness is a definition of you. It may be a part of your life, but it is but a flaw you have to try and see past. And if playing video games is a way for you to cope with this flaw and just a step in your journey to self-discovery, then so be it. Living a lonely life is completely feasible. It's just like being self-reliant. You learn not to love yourself, but to be yourself and to be independent. And that's dangerous. A wandering mind is a sad mind after a time. There's a reason why the worst kind of punishment besides the death penalty is solitary confinement. It's that shit to be left alone with nothing to interact with but your thoughts. The key is trying to find a sort of healthy distraction that will not grow beyond you. So, I tried my hardest to find that new hobby to take over my life. Work was tedious. Brayden was getting a little bit tired of my Jehovah's Witness OMORI nerding like it was 2016 Undertale. Weeks later, my mind still preoccupied with OMORI, theorizing about Black Space and thinking of my second playthrough with the bad route, quote unquote. Alas, I realized I should probably make a YouTube video to disconnect from my gaming. Just a month ago, I was standing with my semester finished looking for a new venue to grow. My lifestyle was supplemented by YouTube as if it was the protein to my video game workout. I loved video essays. The longer, the better. Hours learning about a topic felt productive. To make them more interesting, many video essays thrive on storytelling. So, not only are they informational, but they also scratch the itch for our primal brain's shortcut to internalize narratives better than numbers and facts. For a guy with as much time and lack of focus as me, I found myself watching multiple video essays per day as boot camp. My GOAT and inspiration in this department was YouTuber B. Dobbins FTW. He puts epic Call of Duty clips in the background, talks like he's the rap god, and after getting invested in his deep and personal story, you start to be more open to open your mind. So one night, I was watching his 3-hour Mona Lisa about why everyone is quitting their job to play Call of Duty, rambling about how society is eating itself alive, kind of zoned out until he started talking about friendship. And it hit me again. I'm crying. That same feeling of sadness and need to belong rushing back to me. Another plot twist in my twisted brain. All this time I watched video essays not because I was searching for knowledge or entertainment, but rather for somebody to be my therapist. And damn was it effective. You privately listen, whether you agree or disagree is up to you. When a good video essay hits, you feel heard. And I'd say the same for a lot of the arts that are homemade, right? And I find myself watching a movie, for example, I'm always on the lookout for CGI fails or blurbs or the tiniest mistakes in acting. Yet, when you watch a video essay, listen to a humble podcast, or play an indie game, the guard drops, and you assume that the rough edges are naturally part of the product. They really were like the black space from OMORI to me sometimes. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if anyone is going to admit to it, but if you're into video essays, you better watch out, because I see a not so distant future where people will wake up one day and compare our parasocial relationships with the essayists to the people who spam W's in a Twitch stream on a Tuesday afternoon. You've been warned. The benefit of my essay listening bootcamp is that I watched through many of the ones covering loneliness. What they made clear to me is that it's not about having a good friend or a million friends. Many emphasized the need to belong. Well, my idea of belonging was to be the messenger. I knew that if these motherfuckers can sit on their ass all day long and yap into the microphone about Call of Duty while sounding sophisticated and smart, they could make a living and be respected. Sign me up. Get ready for a new. First, to make a good video essay, I would need to write a good script. I wanted it to be about OMORI, so I would open Google Docs and let the words flow naturally out of my mind. In my head, I'm like playing an instrument. A few thousand words in, take a small break and come back reading the hours of text out loud and go, what the fuck am I even talking about? So I'd start over. I have a whole folder now of winding essays I never turned into videos about games, my life, and random stuff I thought would be interesting. I ended up learning a lot about myself through writing. Physically putting the thoughts down means verbalizing concepts you felt like you grasped, but maybe have only felt. A whole folder of essay documents later, I decided it was time to post something. That first video sucked, honestly, but it was my start. My very first, a review on Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Basically, they took the original game, which was free, remastered it with high-definition graphics, and slapped a $15 fee on it. To which I said, but why? Throughout the year, I would learn more about editing, audio, and pacing, and storytelling, and I felt more confident to drop a bomb about OMORI. So I made a 50-minute iceberg chart within a month of work, which blew up. But looking back, it really was just an info dump with interesting visuals and memes sprinkled in. My channel grew and I thought, well, I need to keep this momentum, so I better start making more serious videos from now on. Enough of being seen as a stupid idiot. After all, this is what I was looking for. Not fame, but just knowing that I'm good at something, and that people see it and value it, that I belong somewhere. My dream had been to make a video essay about OMORI, and then the whole world would be in awe at how masterfully I've delivered my words to the viewer in a gargantuan 99-hour review of every little speck of dust overanalyzed. So, like a perfectionist, I put it off forever, trying to bite off more than I could chew. Every serious attempt resulted in months of work down the drain. If you know me, I am walking. Walks with no general purpose or direction other than listening to music and thinking, often about my videos' script writing. Video games serve a similar purpose, but having both I found is best for my creativity. My own personal headspace, so to say. Willingly just walking alone or just playing alone allows me to focus and gives me time to breathe. All this time, I just needed to finish that stupid essay. Now, 2 years out from the time I completed the game, and I've yet to publish an OMORI video essay. Yet, in the process of trying to write it perfectly, I feel like a new person. From being afraid of even spending time with myself to actively going out of my way to think and reflect by walking and writing. I've improved my well-being. Time showed me that I can balance video games with my life ambitions. Some games do grab me by the balls though. I'll admit, I have some guilty pleasure games, especially Rust, Nexon, and PUBG. What all these games have in common is that too often when you die or lose, it's not your fault. I like to see other players in the environment as the system. My victories feel great, and my heart rate spikes when I get a kill, but when the system is broken, I feel like an obedient masochist. When the system is wrong, victories feel amplified. Why? Because I'm fighting something greater than myself. When in reality, I'm just fodder for a pay-to-win player or someone who had the chance to have a luckier circle in Battle Royale. So, you should probably find a few good YouTubers who will honestly tell you if a game is worth your time or not. The rule of thumb here is if you feel like the game is becoming more than a distraction and morphing into an immortal in your head, then it's likely out of hand. Like OMORI who kills Sunny. You don't want your headspace to become too strong. Disclaimer, most video games are businesses. While the world is falling into a loneliness depression, you'll find that they try to sell you self-expression, cosmetics, as antidotes to your lack of belonging. Soulless, but it works. And gambling is a rise, so beware. Another relevant disclaimer is that chatbots are also businesses. As of 2026, ChatGPT is rolling out ads, so beware of their enshittification in the coming years. It's standard business procedure. When a company exits its high growth phase, it enters its value phase where the whole purpose is to maximize the revenue with the lowest amount of risk possible. Ads are a cheap way to bring in a lot of cash, but they're not innovating anything. They didn't send anyone into space by having NASA sell out. I want to end this video with a little comment about friendship. A game like OMORI is good at giving motivation to accept yourself as who you are. You know, watching the duet of Marie and Sunny after a 10-hour plot is really touching, and for me, it did move me. But I accepted the idea that video games were the chains holding me. But what do you do to belong? How can you make friends if you don't belong to a community or have relatable people to be with, right? Video games are good training wheels. For me, making YouTube videos and kind of just moving forward with my student duties after COVID ended helped a lot. So, I suggest you try to be more indie. By that, I mean, it's so much easier to belong to a small community if you get to know the ins and outs of a small system. It's better to have the lion's share of a small market than to be a performative fan of a big movement. And this kind of ties back to the idea that you have to be yourself, right? Look for interesting things and try to accept them in your life. I remember now it's 2022 and I'm still in my second year of college. A year of lockdowns and mask restrictions later, my social skills are in the gutter. But me and Brayden had a class together and we got to know this one guy who told us he played Overwatch. So I see my chance and go, yo, we should play sometime. Back then he was top 500 on support, which is insane. Well, I was like plat at best at the time. So I called him up. We queued up as a tank duo back when Overwatch wasn't dog shit, and we got fisted so hard that I was embarrassed red. We never talked again, and I thought, fuck. So next year, I'm now going to university, still cheap and affordable, and I set myself a goal to try and talk to as many people as I can. Personally, alcohol is on my no-flight list, so I'd hunt for events. Board game nights where I ended up arguing with everyone about stupid werewolf rules. I try to talk to my classmates, very awkwardly making a remark once on the first encounter with this cute girl about her acne. And the worst one of them all, I even attended the communist rally. The issue I'm getting at, although I came with an open mindset to try and meet people, I did have some social barriers from the literal confinement I'd put myself in from the pandemic, as I'm sure everyone had to go through COVID in their own way. But I couldn't act genuinely out of lack of inherent interest. You couldn't tell, I'm not really a commie. So the 3-hour lecture about Karl Marx was a little laborious. Also, part of being interested is being interesting. Why, I believe it's so much easier to shine when you focus on a specific topic or interest and specialize in it. So I'll give you an example through gaming, and things that worked. In a game like Overwatch, you might be an average player. Nobody really knows about you. It's very hard to stand out, or be a content creator for that matter, right? So what happens? A lot of the big streamers and YouTubers of this game narrow their focus on a specific hero character. Immediately, that sets an image of you that's more easy to understand for a stranger. It helps you express yourself. After all, art is only really formed within boundaries. Identifying yourself by the whole concept of Overwatch says nothing about you, except that you might be a predator. To be you is not just important for yourself, but to the world around you as well. It'd be a shame if everyone stopped being themselves in order to become a cookie cutter. Understand that being unique is valuable. A meal lacking different flavors is slop. A game like Overwatch without diverse characters would be stupid and lame. OMORI without a diverse main cast of characters in a unique world would be white space. Every character is memorable in their own way. I love how the follow-up attacks get stronger as the bond between the group increases throughout the story. Likewise, every person is unique. If you think your personality or traits are too incompatible with others, then I say, what is the fun in a puzzle that doesn't have any complexity? That's just called putting blocks together. The more unique and weirdly shaped you are, the more of a click you will experience when you finally get to find someone. And though a perfect fit may be hard to find sometimes and you can get frustrated, at least try to connect. And who knows, the more you interact, the more the world will shape you. Now zoom out for a second. You are a one-of-one occurrence, a lightning strike, captured in skin and bone. To be lonely then, is to be unseen and forget that you're the only you there will ever be. Make a healthy headspace, try to belong somewhere you love, and be open-minded to make new friends. Shout out to all my friends. You guys know who you are if you watched this far. Fuck all the others, they're fake anyway. 4 years later, the cost of my loneliness journey has been expansive. I'm sure I've lost a few years of my life on my sleep and eating, but the real cost, if you couldn't tell, was that I delayed this video for 4 years. From the very first day that I realized I wanted to make a YouTube video, this was not what I imagined in my head. I wanted it to be perfect, but it's impossible. Because there's an irony in the fact that video essays are my therapy. By writing one, I think I do something akin to self-diagnosing, which is pointless, and why it can't be perfect. At least expect a little more honesty with videos like these from now on. Because now that this 5-year journey is done, I have much more creative bandwidth available. I'll see you all on CS Office. Like and subscribe, and goodbye.
Bathroom.